Ron Howard has always been seen as the calm center of Hollywood chaos, a director shaped by dignity, restraint, and quiet empathy. But whenever he has been asked about the darker side of the industry that raised him, his expression has reportedly changed, because to him the so-called golden age of Hollywood was never truly golden at all. It was an era built on silence, cruelty, and exploitation. A system where fame excused almost everything, and the same legends who shaped America's dreams also destroyed countless lives behind closed doors. And decades later Howard has been willing to confront that truth by acknowledging names the industry long protected, beginning with Errol Flynn, the devil behind the smile, a swashbuckling hero whose charm defined adventure cinema long before James Bond or Jack Sparrow, yet whose off-screen life was marked by arrogance, addiction, and accusations that shattered the illusion. As his 1942 statutory rape trial involving teenage girls divided the nation, exposed studio interference, and showed how power and popularity could bend justice, allowing Flynn to walk free while his behavior worsened, his private letters later revealing cruelty and mockery toward women, until his body collapsed at just 50, consumed by alcohol, drugs, and excess, becoming for Howard a blueprint of Hollywood's moral decay. Then came Kirk Douglas, a man who symbolized contradiction itself, preaching honor and justice on screen while allegedly spreading fear, humiliation, and rage off it, a self-made icon whose volcanic temper terrorized sets, whose drive inspired and crushed in equal measure, and whose alleged abuse of power, including claims that surfaced decades later involving Natalie Wood, reflected how silence protected the powerful, leaving behind a legacy Howard viewed not as triumph but as a warning about unchecked authority. Faye Dunaway represented a colder form of cruelty, not always violent but rooted in control and humiliation, a woman whose brilliance in films like Bonnie and Clyde and Chinatown made her untouchable, while stories of tantrums, fear, and emotional terror followed her across sets, mirroring the abuse she portrayed on screen in Mommy Dearest, until her reputation eventually isolated her and served, in Howard's view, as proof that talent without compassion ultimately destroys itself. Towering over them all was John Wayne, the embodiment of American myth to millions, yet to Howard a bully who wore patriotism like a costume, ruled sets through intimidation, belittled women and minorities, and whose own words later revealed prejudice rather than honor, showing how power built on fear curdles into bitterness with time. Roman Polanski embodied Hollywood's deepest hypocrisy, a celebrated genius whose admitted crime against a child was excused by admirers who chose art over accountability, fleeing justice while still being applauded. A moment Howard found surreal and sickening, proof that brilliance can coexist with evil and that talent is often used as camouflage. And finally Mickey Rooney, the smiling illusion itself, Hollywood's cheerful child star whose charm masked volatility, cruelty, addiction, broken relationships, and deep bitterness, ending his life nearly penniless and alone, exposing how pain was turned into performance and ignored for decades. For Ron Howard, these stories were never about revenge or scandal, but about warning, a reckoning with an era falsely remembered as golden. When monsters thrived under bright lights, protected by applause, and when the most frightening truth of all was that the spotlight didn't just reveal evil, it helped hide it, leaving us to ask which is more disturbing, the predator, the tyrant, or the smiling liar we once called a legend.